Okay, so I've had several people um, have interest in me leading meditation or spiritual classes, either one or both. So I wanted to give you some of my background. So, since I was around 5 years old, I've seen spirits. So I've always known that there is something beyond death. And when I was 10, something very profound happened that changed my world. Not just my world, but my family's world. My grandmother passed away when I was about 10 years old. And it made me question Christianity. I had always been raised in Christianity, and I never questioned God as far as whether God existed or not. But I did question a lot more. It led me through times when I would go out into fields and I would be very angry with God, and I would call for him to come down and face me, knowing fully well that I would lose because it's God. To me, God is the essence of the universe. Essentially, to me, God is the stadium. If we were talking about everything that we know, the universe included, being part of some construct, this stadium, actually all the way out to the parking lot of the stadium, every bit of that, say there's nothing else in the universe, that's it, that's everything, multiverse, everything, that whole area is God. Anybody that's in it are players within it, be they angels or people or demons or devils or ghosts or anything. The playing field itself would be our earth, the stadium would be the universe, as it were. The parking lot would be whatever is beyond the universe, the multiverse, the layers of the construct, different dimensions. However it works, we're human. We're only able to grasp what we know and what we're able to learn. So as far as that goes, that's where I am. As far as what God is. So to me, even though that Christ is God, sort of, Christ is still a player in the construct. The best way that I've ever been able to describe what Christ is to me, what we are in relation to God, what Christ is in relation to God. Imagine the ocean, and there's a board floating out on the ocean, and there's a cup on it. The cup is filled all the way with ocean water. The cup, I guess there's two cups on the board. One has but a drop of the ocean in it. The one that's full is Christ. It's been filled with God. The ocean is God. And then we get a drop of God. Now we can continuously fill that as we become faithful and put more trust in God. Now, the other aspect of what God is, God comes to his people in ways that they understand. So I think every religion is right, except for I really don't believe in Satanism as looking at our God, although it does know of our God. And atheism, I have atheist friends, and I don't judge them, but I am not able to grasp what they believe at all because of the things that I've seen in my life. And yes, scientifically, with scientific method, myself and several other people proved it to me that I am experiencing something. There are other instances where I've experienced places that I have meditated about that are real places in the world that I had never been. And when I go there, the similarity is uncanny. Having never seen pictures or never been there. So I have no doubt in what I believe. None. I know that God exists. I know the devil exists. I call him Lucifer. Some call him the adversary. Some call him the enemy. I have met Lucifer. I have met many of the archangels. I have met Jesus. And I have seen other spirits. Animal spirits, friendly spirits, bad spirits. The important part about dealing with what I deal with is questioning everything. The Lakota Sioux say to question 3 times. And 3 is a commonality within any spirituality across the world. Now, some might wonder, why Christ? Why Jesus? Why did I swing back around to Jesus after doubting Jesus? See, in my early 20s, I veered towards witchcraft and Wicca. You know, at that time really was kind of the opposite, because I believed in God, so I don't go Satanism because that is absolute opposite. And I believed in God, so I chose something different that was still in opposition to God. Sort of. It really isn't, because that's just another way that people understand God. So, especially because if you go back far enough in the Abrahamic religions, you'll find that God had a wife that has been wiped from the Bible. The wife is Asherah, which still, the God of the Bible, to a certain degree, and Asherah are players. God, what the Native American would call the Great Mystery, is the entirety all the way out past at the edge of the parking lot of that football stadium. Everything contained within is God. That is my perception of God. Now, that being said, from Wicca and witchcraft, which enlightened me to the reality of good and bad magics, I also began to study shamanism and Buddhism because I did not fit in with witchcraft and Wicca. It wasn't what I believed, although it did enlighten me. Many people frown upon witchcraft. I don't. There's nothing wrong with it. I know that any religion can be taken to a bad place. The Catholic Crusades, the radicals over in Islamic states in the Middle East. There's dark witchcraft and Satanism, and there's a whole lot of dark places. Most of them are performed by radicals, not by your everyday people that believe in something. Buddhism was very important it taught me acceptance, and it taught me suffering. Suffering is deep within Christianity. Jesus himself was beaten and suffered upon the cross. Now, also, there's the book of Job, which talks about suffering, being human, and also faith in God. It also speaks of one of the biggest questions that people always talk about when dealing with a compassionate, all-loving God, and that's faith. Trusting God. That is not the purpose of this video, but that is important for this video. Now, after that, I also studied Tao. I also studied the Quran. I've studied many indigenous cultures. I've studied Confucianism. I've touched on Zoroastrianism. I've touched on Zen, which is a sect of Buddhism. And what I've found, especially in the older mythos of indigenous cultures that we don't have a lot of record for historically, there's been a Christ-like being that within about 1,000-year period has been across the globe. And they have wiped a lot of that away. But why? Why is this compassionate being that walks on water, the sounds of trumpets, rains of fire, talks of civility and being good to each other and everything, why is it across the globe extraneous of Christianity, Abrahamic teaching? This is why I'm Christian. Well, I believe in Christ as my Savior. I hesitate to call myself Christian because I don't like the way that a lot of Christians treat each other these days. I'm a Spiritist because I have studied a great many religions and ways of life, because things like Buddhism and shamanism is not a religion in and of themselves. So, this is why I'm Christian. Christ is my Savior. Now, in my early 30s, I was faced with a problem. When I was about 32 in 2011, my back went bad on me. In 2012, it went out again, at which time I was taking the Old and New Testament class. And when the back pain came back, I was in severe pain.